Jamaica is set to receive a $30 million investment following a meeting with Prime Minister Andrew Holness and U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris yesterday. This is the first of several meetings Prime Minister Holness will have with top U.S. officials in Washington, D.C. this week. In the bilateral meeting, Harris announced a $20 million investment in Jamaica to boost commerce and $10 million towards investment in human capital and a violence reduction program for at-risk youth.
The United States, and I am announcing today, will be investing $20 million to assist in the strengthening and the expansion of Jamaica's commerce in a way that we fully intend will have an impact in strengthening the economy of Jamaica and drive economic growth. We also recognize, just as it has been in the United States for Jamaica, one of the issues that has been presented as an issue that is economic in the way of its impact has been the pandemic. So to that end, we are announcing today also that we will assist Jamaica in COVID recovery by assisting in terms of the recovery efforts in Jamaica that have been essential to, I believe, what is necessary to strengthen not only the issue of public health, but also the economy. And this is on top of more than what we have done throughout the year since the start of the pandemic, $12 million in COVID assistance and more than 600,000 vaccinations or vaccines that have been donated.
Harris also announced a further investment in energy security, climate security, and resilience to extreme weather conditions, plus assistance towards health and COVID-19 recovery.
Most importantly, a great part of our conversation, Mr. Prime Minister, that we appreciate has been about the priority we share for security in the region, as well as the issue of crime prevention. So we discussed, of course, the priority that your government places on both those issues, and we agree that one area of important focus is on youth and on, as you said, the human capital of Jamaica. To that end, we have committed, and we are announcing now, to provide $10 million to target at-risk youth in Jamaica through a number of initiatives that we believe will have exponential impact not only on the issue of crime prevention, but what we intend as well, which is to strengthen, as you have described, the natural human capital that exists in Jamaica among young people. Our conversation spanned not only those issues, but issues that are about a global significance. And to that end, I thank the Prime Minister for the leadership that he has offered in the context of votes that have been taken in the United Nations, and in terms of Jamaica's strong stand in joining the United Nations and the United States in condemning Russia's aggression in Ukraine.
The Prime Minister, accompanied by Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Kamina Johnson-Smith and a 5-member delegation, was met upon arrival in Washington, D.C. by Jamaica's ambassador to the United States, Audrey Marks, the Deputy Chief of Mission at the Jamaican Embassy in Washington, D.C., Nicolette Williams, and other embassy officials.
We're very proud of our continued strong relationship. Today, our discussions reaffirmed this strong partnership, and we discussed ways in which this partnership can be strengthened and expanded. Madam Vice President, the Jamaican government and people have sacrificed and worked hard to successfully entrench macroeconomic stability and fiscal sustainability, and in particular in managing our debt. It is a journey on which the United States has been a very good partner through several of your agencies and indeed various multilateral institutions. Jamaica today is a model of a small, open economy which has transitioned its public financial management into a stable and financially prudent one.
The Prime Minister is expected to return to the island on Sunday. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security Dr. Harris Chang is in charge of the government until Mr. Holness returns. In other news, with 3 stabbing incidents taking place at high schools in the last 2 weeks, the Jamaica Constabulary Force JCF has once again seized several weapons, including knives, scissors, and coconut drops infused with ganja at a high school in the St. Catherine South Division. The JCF said the search, which was carried out yesterday, was conducted under the Violence Interruption Strategy to aid in the prevention of violent encounters in educational institutions. 2 students have been arrested and charged in connection with the marijuana find. Yesterday's recovery comes on the heels of a stabbing incident at Petersfield High School in Westmoreland on Tuesday that left 1 female student nursing injuries and another in police custody. In that incident, a female student allegedly removed a knife from her underwear and stabbed another female student in an altercation during the first session of school. The student was treated in hospital and released. In the meantime, Minister of Education Favour Williams, in a press conference last week, said her ministry will begin an audit of the extent to which metal detectors are being used in public schools. She shared that the detectors will form part of the ministry's response to reduce the incidence of violence among students by detecting and confiscating implements such as knives and scissors, which are frequently brought into play during disputes. Still making the news tonight, the police are seeking the public's assistance to locate 30-year-old Jason Stewart, a mechanic of Miles River, Westmoreland, and a Canadian address, who has been missing since March 24. He is of dark complexion, slim build, and is approximately 5 feet tall. Reports from the Spanish Town Police coming into our news center are that at approximately 11:45 a.m., Stewart was last seen at the Norman Manley International Airport. His mode of dress at the time he went missing is unknown. Anyone knowing the whereabouts of Jason Stewart is being asked to contact the Spanish Town Police at 876-984-2305, Police Emergency 119, or the nearest police station. Continuing with the news tonight, the St. James Police have listed the following individuals as persons of interest. They are Nikilo Lewis, otherwise called Kilo, and Bugs Bunny of Lilliput, St. James. Jeffrey Binger, otherwise called Shane of Ocean Heights, Lilliput, St. James. O'Shane Earl, aged 31, otherwise called Tumbo, a laborer of Lottery, St. James. Karen Johnson, otherwise called Man Fox of Bogue Hill, Montego Bay, St. James. Kenya Robinson, otherwise called Rasta of Sheffield District, Westmoreland. Tevon Johnson, otherwise called Pappy of Rose Heights, St. James. Carl Van Horn of Upper King Street, Montego Bay Flanker, Norwood in St. James. Kingsley Drummond, otherwise called Zulu, as well as O'Shane Poyser. Also men known only as Beng, Demar, Bunjun, and Wacky. Detectives believe that these men may be able to assist with their investigations into various incidents in the division. They are being asked to report to the Montego Bay Criminal Investigation Branch immediately. Anyone knowing their whereabouts is being asked to call the Montego Bay Police at 876-979-8452-3, Police Emergency 119, Crime Stop at 311, or the nearest police station. Still making the news tonight, the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and Industry launched their security summit earlier today. Here is Colleen May with the details.
The Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and Industry launched their security summit earlier today at the Grandview Hotel in St. James. The summit has been scheduled to be held April 6 at the Montego Bay Conference Center. President of the Chamber, Janet Silver, in her remarks, called the people to action as they engage in conversation on how to solve the issue of crime in the parish.
It is action time for us, not time for more talk. Hence, collective security. Unity in action was conceptualized, and here we are this morning at the launch of our security summit. For us as a nation to truly be free, we need to be able to walk our streets, sleep in our beds, go to school, sit in our living rooms, and comb our hair without fear of our lives being prematurely taken from us. And this freedom, this security needs to be for all citizens of Jamaica. We cannot ignore that there are other things that makes one a criminal outside of the fact that you're just wicked. The other purpose of this security summit is once this wall is broken down and now all understand what makes a criminal, then as a people can work together to reshape our communities to no longer create criminals. Understand that there are people here in Montego Bay who want to see an end to crime. And that persons from elsewhere can't necessarily solve our problems better than we can. Engage us. We're inviting all of the powers that be to engage us.
Ms. Silver, in speaking of recent incidents of violence in some schools across the country, questioned when we reach to this level of violence.
Parents are hoping to make a difference in the lives of their children. That's why they send them to school to get an education. But if you have people across the street that are going to have access to them, then we're in trouble. Then you have the stabbing incidents at a couple prominent high schools where children turn on each other as savages and inflict knife wounds, resulting in serious injury and loss of life. Can you imagine one child taking another's life over a guard ring? I still can't believe it. But you know why I have to believe it? Because some of these children aren't even wearing these guard rings because they want to. Where did all this negative culture emanate in a country that knew and practiced that it takes a village to raise a child? When did we get to this stage?
Managing Director of iDoc Wellness Concierge, Dr. Sheridine Lee, explained the elements of the Security Summit.
Criminals are created over time. So for the first day, we'll be taking you on a journey so that you can see how these, I won't even call them criminal, but these violence producers are created. Also, after taking you through how they're created, then it's getting persons from different areas who deals with youth directly. We'll have a specialist educator, we'll have a clinical psychologist, we'll have somebody from the cadets, we'll have somebody from Heart Trust NTA, so they can look on how is it that we, one, prevent the crime or prevent us from developing these violence producers. Two, how do we cure, right? How do we cure? So even if they've started on that path, on that journey, what steps do we take to cure them so they will have no intention of creating the crime?
Reporting from Mello TV News, I'm Colleen May.
Thank you, Colleen, for that report. And as we continue with the news tonight, the border protection capabilities of the Jamaica Customs Agency, JCA, have been significantly bolstered with the British government's provision of a $22 million grant to acquire a replacement intelligence management system. This system will boost the JCA's intelligence and risk-based targeting framework, which is vital to tackling cross-border related crimes. Now the agency has also received radiation kits among other provisions, which will aid in safeguarding officers against high-harm goods and other substances that they may encounter during their work. The grant is being facilitated through the British Home Office via United Kingdom Border Force International under a Memorandum of Understanding (MOU). The MOU was signed by British High Commissioner to Jamaica, Her Excellency Judith Slater, and Chief Executive Officer of the JCA and Commissioner of Customs, Velma Ricketts Walker, at the Customs Agency's head office in Kingston on Tuesday. Several pieces of the equipment and kits were also presented. And we turn our attention now to tonight's COVID-19 update, where Jamaica yesterday reported 22 new cases of COVID-19, increasing the total of confirmed cases reported on the island to 128,757. According to the latest statistics from the Ministry of Health and Wellness, the country also reported 4 additional virus-related deaths. The death toll since the start of the pandemic now stands at 2,888, while the country also recorded 87 new recoveries, increasing the total of recoveries now to 81,129.